Hey guys! So I'm outside today because I wanted to talk a little bit about gardening. My mom always gardened, she did have vegetable gardens and things like that, but I've never really had the chance. But this house that we just moved into a while ago has garden beds in it, so I'm really excited to start gardening at some point. I love the idea of gardens. I love all of the things that gardens can do in witchcraft and space claiming. So it's very exciting to me to actually have pre-set areas for gardening. We do have some accidental tomato plants. They are left over from the last tenants, I guess. Probably whatever fruit just fell into the gardening bed and sprouted. So I am going to clear those out later today. There's just too many of them, and they're all competing, so they're not blooming very well. So I'm hoping that by thinning them out, because there's way too many. There's like over 20 plants in like a small space. So gardening can be great for witchcraft. In terms of the whole space claiming, like we talked about in the space claiming video for Heart Roost Cottage, gardening is a great way to take responsibility for the land, cultivating that land. You are putting energy into maintaining it, and that's great for that agreement that space claiming comes with, that taking on a responsibility that we talked about. When you garden, you are giving energy to the land. You are putting in effort and time and care into the garden. What's great about that, if you're growing food, is that then you get that back. You care for the plants and they care for you back by giving you food, which gives you more energy to take care of the land some more. It's this cycle of an exchange of energy, which can be great for bonding with the land, I guess, for setting up that symbiotic relationship. You can also do things with defensive gardening. If you want to grow garlic or a thorny rose bush or mint, juniper, whatever you feel is a protective plant, the things that you would use in your spells for protection, barriers, boundaries, you can grow those things, especially if you grow them on the perimeter. If you grow garlic in every corner of the yard, if you have a blackberry shrub that goes around the perimeter, it can really help to enforce those boundaries and work as living wards. Then you can also, when you need to use those ingredients, again, if you're making a spell bag or something like that, you can use thorns or fruit or leaves or whatever from those plants that were grown with that specific purpose, which is really cool. I would love to have some defensive gardening up. I would love to have some garlic growing. We have some roses, we have some blackberries, but they're thornless, so that doesn't really count. But some thorny plants are great like that. We have juniper, which I use for cleansings a lot. I was growing some mint indoors, but it got some powdery mildew and it's pretty much killing them. So it's going to be very difficult for me to keep those going. Hopefully I can save them. My lawn really needs to be mowed. I hate lawns. I hate them so much. If I didn't have dogs, I'd probably just want to tear up a lawn, honestly, and replace it with little flower beds and walking paths, because they just take so much water. They take so much mowing, and I hate it. I hate mowing the lawn because I always feel like I'm going to run over a praying mantis, which is like unthinkable to me because I love praying mantis. So I don't want to run them over, and I will like stop if I see movement in the grass to make sure I'm not killing a praying mantis. So it takes me forever to mow the lawn. So I'm excited to garden eventually. It kind of moved in for like bad timing for starting a garden. I was about to start a garden in the last house when we found out we'd be moving. So didn't work out too well. But oh well, because now I have garden beds. And I'm real excited about the garden beds. It's my pretty yard. Actually, I love this yard so much. It is so nice. It's nice and shady because, I mean, I'm pale. I'm sitting in the shade and I have this hat on because sun. We don't get along, me and the sun. What's also great about taking care of the plants in your own yard, whether it's a garden or just the natural weeds that are growing, is that you come up with your own associations that way. Look at your morning glories. Look at what animals or insects that they attract. Look at what they grow on, how much of a problem you have fighting them if you're fighting them, and use that in your associations. Mostly I let the morning glories grow in the landscaping because I like morning glories. So, but when I do pull them out, when they just overwhelm a plant and I have to pull them out, they are stringy and tangled, and you reach your hand in and pull out a chunk. And that would be great for tripping someone up, because I could totally imagine trying to run through morning glories and tripping and falling on my face. So that's great. So things like that, you can learn your own associations for the plants that grow locally to you. You may have a special tree in your yard or a shrub. Find a plant to connect with. And so if that happens, that's always exciting. I have a favorite tree in our yard. She's a little maple tree, and I love it. I want to decorate it so badly. I just want to cover it in like ribbons and bird feeders and everything amazing. Gardening can also be a devotional hobby. If you have entities that you work with that require devotion or that you give devotion to, time spent out in the garden caring for plants that you've dedicated to them or plants that are sacred to them. It's also great if you cannot worship openly wherever you're living, if you can set up even a container garden of plants that you associate with that person, or just that you want to grow that you can give to that person, that entity, that deity, whatever they are. You can use that as your prayer time, as your devotion time to them. And you can even hide things in there if you want to, write a little prayer on some paper and stick it in there with the plant. You can hide gifts, little gemstones, things like that in there amongst the plants. Making sure that they're safe gemstones, not something that's going to turn toxic when you water your plants, or is going to be totally wrecked if it gets faded in the sun. You can hide food offerings in that container garden, which is always great, or do food offerings that are turned to compost in a countertop composter and give that as the way that you're offering food to your deity, is that you're offering it as compost to the plant that you've dedicated to that deity. What's also fun is coming up with things in your craft that reflect your yard. For instance, we have an abundance of crab apples. So many crab apples that are growing. It's out of control. They're falling on the roof constantly and making noise. So I've been thinking, what can I do specifically with crab apples? At this point, I think abundance would definitely be something that would symbolize for me now. But they don't taste good. They're not really the kind of apple that you want to eat. So, and they're kind of a pain. They just get everywhere. It's hard to walk over the part of the yard where the crab apples are dropped. So I could definitely see them used in a curse somehow to just throw a bunch of an annoying thing at a target. Let me show you the garden bed where all the tomatoes started growing. So here are my way too many tomato plants. There's so many. And there's all this little ground cover of some kind growing here, Not sure what that is. Got a few flowers attempting. There's some there, some over here, but not a whole lot. And I think it's really because there's just so many. Look, see? Crab apples everywhere. So I'm going to go through, clear this out, clear out the creeping Charlie that's gotten into it, some morning glories, and hopefully that will help, and I'll have some healthy tomato plants. I don't even like tomatoes. I don't like to eat them, but my family does. And I like spaghetti sauce sometimes, and salsa and things, so maybe they'll get used in that. Look at these little guys. It's a tiny little wasp nest so far, but they're busy. They're busy in a way. So far they haven't really bothered us, so I haven't really bothered to remove them. They don't even really like dive at our heads or anything, so I figure if they're not going to chase me around, they can do their thing. So that's a little better. I tried to not pick any that actually had flowers on them, so I probably could have cleared out some more, but I didn't want to discourage any that were already blooming, because that was kind of the point of clearing them out. As you can see too, I wasn't expecting ungrowing tomato plants, so I have nothing in ways of tomato cages. I have to get those still. But yeah, there's cleared out some of the tomato plants. This bed over here is a whole nother story. It's all weeds right now, which I'm not going to tear up really until I have something to plant, because I'd rather have a bunch of thriving green weeds to look at than just a box of dirt. So I tried to clear this out a little bit a while ago actually, and there were giant spiders, huge spiders, enormous spiders, and I'm not a spider person. I can't deal with spiders. I asked the spiders all very nicely to leave so that I could garden, so hopefully they did. Hopefully I can reclaim this garden bed now. Right now it's just full of morning glories and creeping Charlie and some big prickly things. Not thistles. I'd be excited if they were thistles, because those are great. But some grasses. So maybe there's something hiding in there too. Maybe there's another surprise garden plant. I don't think so though. My hat's kind of being weird. I can get it to... Nope. We're a floppy hat today.